eye using various weight drawing pencils and a shading tortillon. So when you're using various weight pencils, you always want to start with the hardest pencil. This is an H pencil, and I've done that. I've used that to basically sketch out my basic eye using the crosshair grid method to just kind of get a basic shape in here. So I want to do all of the shading first with the hardest pencil that we have. So I'm going to leave some areas to be white where my major shines are, and there's a darkness right here in the center of the eye. I'm just going to kind of use my pencil to block those in before I commit to doing any kind of really intense dark shading there. So I'm just going to put in a general value throughout the eye first, darkening the center part pretty significantly. And then continue. Since we're using our tortillon, you can leave your marks fairly open for now. And I'm going to come in and darken the edge and darken the center part again, just like that. And then I'm going to come and shade the white of the eye. Once again, I can leave my marks fairly open since I'm using a tortillon to blend it. And darken this part here. Add a little shading in to the eye lid. And you'll notice that the eyelid is not a complete line, it's open here just like it is here. And something that we should notice is that there's a gap between the lashes and the edge of the eye right here. So I'm going to go ahead and darken my line here, knowing that I have to leave that gap. So if you want, you can give yourself a little bit of a guideline to let you know where that gap is. And I'm going to go ahead and shade the underneath the eye as well. And just kind of use less pressure as we go away. There's some darkness in the eyelid here. Alright, now if you guys notice, it's a hard pencil, so I'm not really getting any really super deep, rich values quite yet. So before I go on to my next hardness of lead, I'm just going to use my tortillon to blend the hard lead into more of a uniform gray. And that's going to kind of sew up my little marks. Just running over my lines and blending out all of the hard lead that I have. And you can actually add a little bit of subtlety with the tortillon, with some of that lead still on the tortillon. Like I can put in this subtle shadow that I see on the edge of the eye there. So, now that I've done that, I'm going to move on to my next hardest lead, which in this case, I'm going to go ahead and use a B pencil, which is kind of a medium softness. And I'm going to start blocking in my darks. As you guys can see, it's quite a bit darker than my last lead. And now that I'm coming in here with my darker stuff, I can start thinking about the little reflections of the lashes that are happening on the top of the eye. I'm going to come in here, darken this part in here, and this is where I'm going to kind of break up some of that obvious circle with the darkness at the top of the eye. I'm going to bring these little kind of lash reflections down through here. There's quite a bit of darkness here on the edge because this is a brown-eyed person. I want to keep the integrity of those reflections though, so I'm not going to fill those in. darken this edge here. I haven't yet begun to add the eyelashes, but I will do that in just a moment. Darken the edge of the eye here. And darken the bottom lid. Just like that. And the top of the lid, go ahead and darken that too. This is all fairly dark through here. Just like that. Now that I've done that, I'm going to use my tortillon again to just kind of pick at the value and make it smoother. I'm not going to do it as hard as I did it before because I don't want to take the value off the surface a lot. So I'm just going to kind of pick at that just to smooth it out just a bit and blend it into the other value. Good rule of thumb is to just kind of pick at the edge rather than going into the whole center value like that. So I'm then going to come in with my sharp 4B pencil and really crank the darks in the iris first. There's a dark that I left out here, so I'm just going to go ahead and put that in there. And there's some little reflective stuff going on. And got the reflections of the eyelashes that we're about to put in. Now with the darkest pencil here, you're going to leave a lot of the darkness behind, as in we're not going to blend it with the tortillon. We're just going to kind of blend it using a little bit of the side of the pencil. This is nice and dark in here. This top part's fairly dark. Put that in there. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is put in the lashes on the upper part. So I'm noticing that the lashes are kind of in groups. So we don't want to just do a perfectly lined up row of eyelashes, because that's when it starts to look unrealistic and generalized. So I'm going to put those in just as I see them here, darkening this as I go. And as they start, they're going to start to change direction. And I need to really pay close attention to where the groupings of lashes are. I can see there's a group here that are more coming towards us, so they look more like a grouping of shadow there. And as they sort of get out to the edge here, they do something different, where they start to go this direction. It's very important that you look at those groups, because lashes group up. Even with a masculine eye, they still form into groups. Now on the bottom lid, we want to make sure to leave that gap, and the groups are even more defined on the bottom lid. And they're shorter on this side, and then there's a few longer ones that kind of come towards the center like that, and they kind of blend into the rest. There's a few more subtle ones there. And I'm going to go ahead and put in a deeper shadow underneath this part here, and get this deeper shadow going through the edge of the eye here. If you guys notice, I'm using the side of the pencil now, not so much using the tortillon. Now at this point, we could take our B pencil, which is that middle one, and we can go ahead and put in the hairs of the eyebrow as well. And you guys notice that my strokes are going the direction that the hairs go in the eyebrow. So as the hairs lengthen and change direction, so too do my strokes. And we're not going to use the blending stump for this at all because we want to keep those. We want to keep the integrity of those strokes. We don't want them to blend out and become blurry. So I'd take my 4B and then selectively darken the darker areas in the brow. Then I'm going to come in again and darken some of the information here in the center of the eye. Really darken this stuff here because this is the darkest part right in here underneath the lid. Make sure this blends out. Make sure we get a nice sharp corner in there. Some really darkness right here. Before you add any shading to this part, I would erase away your guidelines just so you're not shading over that. And I'm going to go ahead and go straight for, rather than starting with the hard pencil, I'm going to go straight for the B, just to put in an overall darkness throughout here. And then I can use my tortillon to make that a little bit more subtle. And once again, going back to my darkest pencil, I'm going to accentuate the eyelid